You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. I just think, Quardrico, that what has happened so far is not enough.
Roland, you know,
and it's just not enough. It's just, I mean, what Bree said, what took place, I mean, that was vicious. That was real. We had Congresswoman Maxine Waters on this show. She said, there is no doubt in my mind that if I had not left the U.S. Capitol early and they had gotten to me, I would be dead. These folks, I mean, they were out for blood. This was, to hear Capitol Hill police officers say this was a coordinated attack. Donald Trump and his administration actually got with them to move one of the events to January 6th. This was specifically to target the U.S. Congress. I believe in some courtroom there has to be a reckoning. And look, if Giuliani, if Trump, if any of these folks are found guilty, fine. But there needs to be a real trial, not that crap we saw in the U.S. Senate.
What really fuels I think my
hold on 1 second. Quardricos, go ahead.
What really fuels my frustration here is, quite frankly, I feel that this is not our fight. One of the reasons that white people, good liberal-minded white people, don't have the wherewithal to understand what happened January 6th is because precisely their identity is wrapped up into maintaining power, right? And they're trying to wrestle and understand this. Let the NAACP take this effort. I'm just not convinced that it will actually do anything to warrant the injustice that continues to take place and that took place on January 6th. It underscores the reality that black folk continuously try to call America to be its better self. This is for white people to deal with. I don't think it's our fight.
But Bree, it is our fight in that what they were trying to overthrow was the result of black votes.
Exactly. Like this is an attack on the concept of multiracial democracy, in my view. So, and two, I think we should recognize white people aren't going to do this. Like white people, I mean, the whole reason that we are here is because white people are not going to ultimately lead the charge in overturning white supremacy. I mean, that has just never been the reality of this nation ever. And that's part of the reason why an organization like the NAACP exists. So again, you know, it's not that any one of these things on its own is going to address the issue. I think it's like, what is the role of an organization like NAACP? And I think they are playing in this moment the role that they have played historically for 100 years. I mean, the NAACP and the Klan are, you know, they go back to the same century. They date to about the same century and the same time period for this reason, because the Ku Klux Klan, you know, formed in the aftermath of the Civil War. It's always been about attacking free black people. And the NAACP has always been about leading the legal fight against those attacks on black freedom. So, you know, I think that that is the role for them to play. Yes, there's a role for white people to play. Yes, white American society should stand up and do this. But the reality is that they're not going to. And I mean, that's part of what we just saw play out with the impeachment. We knew that they weren't going to hold Trump accountable, even though it is all obvious. Why? Because Trump is the embodiment of modern white supremacy. He is like the emblem. He is the mascot. And that's why, you know, like it has been said time and time again, of course we know. First of all, if it had been black people even planning a rally on January 6th, they would have had National Guard out there. Like, there's no question we wouldn't have even made it to the steps of the Capitol. The fact that people made it all the way inside is because they had the assistance of the white power structure. The reason that we are having this conversation of trying to figure out how to hold people accountable is because of white supremacy, sympathizers with white supremacy within the white power structure. So, you know, I think NAACP is doing their role.
And here's the deal. The NAACP, Xavier, is not the only group that could actually file a lawsuit. I think what you're seeing here is an attempt to say, okay, you guys did not want to move on this. Let's take it to a forum. Let's actually see. A judge will decide if they are standing to actually move forward. But to Bree's point earlier, this whole, let's just sort of move along. I mean, when you listen to Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez talk about vividly what that day was like, when you see the reports being feed away, when you saw the House impeachment managers, I mean, to me, this requires a real, true accountability that needs to take place. And the bottom line is this here: if it's the NAACP, fine with me. If it's some other group, fine with me. I'm saying hold their asses accountable.
I mean, there's a fight over whether a black man can sell cigarettes on the street, or whether a man's $20 was actually a real $20 bill, and he died as a result of it. But every attempt is being made to sugarcoat white supremacy in America. We saw with our own two eyes people climbing up the fences. We saw with our own two eyes people are in our congressional chambers. We saw through the impeachment trial the different steps that we're taking. We heard the different calls of Donald Trump. The evidence is laid bare before our eyes. And we as black people, we have saved this democracy over and over again. Saved it with our votes. We have James in New York attempted to save it with that state there. We saw with how the borders were organized. We have to keep saving this democracy. It is what it is. We are the head of how this country moves and protecting its citizens. We signed up for it, unfortunately, in terms of what we are doing to push back on our lives and our votes, but it is what it is.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.